All right, we've all heard that we make our money when we buy on a real estate transaction. In this video, I'm going to show you how to be a successful real estate negotiator. Okay, first I'm going to show you a way to create emotional integrity rapport, and then I'm going to show you how to really consummate the deal. And then I promise you by the end of this video, you're going to be a way more successful real estate negotiator than before you started. All right, we've all heard that when we're sitting down with a client or a prospect or a seller, we want to create rapport, but what the world does that even mean? We've all heard of matching and mirroring. Basically, matching is if I'm sitting with my arms crossed, your seller's sitting with their arms crossed, you cross your arms too. If the seller's talking fast, you talk fast with them. If the seller's talking slow, you talk slow with them. That's matching and mirroring, and eventually you kind of pull them to it. But I want to show you another technique that I learned from Sean Callaghy through Unblinded. It's a course that I'm in, and it is to allow someone to feel seen, heard, and understood. So when you're actually talking to a seller or a prospect and you're starting rapport, the best way to create emotional, integrous rapport is to make sure that other person feels seen, heard, and understood. This is a free gift that you can offer your children, your spouse, your loved ones, your parents, because we all want to be seen, heard, and understood. Let me give you an example. So one thing that I like to do, and I learned this from Sean Callaghy, this is not my own information. I'm actually regurgitating it. I've learned it, I've used it, and now I'm teaching it to you as well. So to make sure someone feels seen, heard, and understood and create the best emotional, integrous rapport, because it's about integrity. We're not causing someone or forcing someone to sell us their house or their property without them wanting to do it. You cannot force someone to do something that's good for them. It's got to be out of integrity. So they feel seen, heard, and understood, and create the most rapport is, tell me what's going on. It's a little thing is, where have you been? Where are you currently at? Where are you going? What's working and what's not working. That fifth one, if you've created enough rapport and they feel seen, heard, and understood and that you care, they will tell you what's not working. So, hey, Mr. Seller, tell me what's going on. What drove you to sell this piece of land? It seems like a great property. Why would you consider selling it? And that's when they tell you where they've been. Well, I received an inheritance, or my wife passed away 10 years ago and I've been paying the back taxes. Well, where are you at now? What's owed on the property? Is there a mortgage? Why do you want to sell it? What's going on? Well, right now I'm actually dealing with cancer treatments. I'm going through leukemia, or I'm actually paying for my grandson's college. That's where they're currently at. And, hey, Mr. Seller, and you want to keep painting the picture of what their goal is. Mr. Seller, you said when you sell this land, you're going to be going somewhere, or you're going to be doing something. What does that look like for you? When you sell this land, what does that look like for you? You want to see where they're going. So when they accomplish the goal that they've set forward, maybe it was something, hey, I want to pay for my grandson's college. Mr. Seller, when you've sold this land and you're writing that tuition check, how do you see that making you feel? Or what do you think your grandson's going to feel? How much love do you think your grandson's going to feel when you write that commission or that tuition check for your grandson? That's where you're going. Where you been? Where you at now? Where are you going? And now let's get on to what's working and what's not working. Mr. Seller, you said that you've been trying to sell this property for a little while. Have you gotten any leads? Have you gotten any calls on it? Have any realtors reached out? That's what's working. Mr. Seller, you said that you had some realtors reach out, but nothing came through. Tell me, how does that feel? What's going on? That's where what's not working. And most of the time, you do not even have to ask the question, what's not working, because they will lead right into it, because by this point, you've created so much emotional, integrous rapport. Guys, I'm always giving this kind of stuff away. I put this out 5 days a week. I'm always teaching people how to buy and sell land and houses and flip houses and Airbnbs. I want you to go ahead and smash that subscribe button and that like button. Those 5 little things I just told you cost me an investment of $40,000, and it was absolutely every bit worth it, because I get to share this with my children, with my wife, my family, my loved ones, to give them the gift of being seen, heard, and understood. That's the first step. That's emotional, integrous rapport. All right, I'm spending a lot of time on creating emotional, integrous rapport, but when that seller is talking to you about, hey, I went to college in Melbourne, Florida, or I went to a engineer college, but I ended up studying psychology. Well, a lot of those things relate to me as well, and I'm the whole time in my head saying, me too. But I don't vocally say this. I actually am listening to the seller. I'm listening to my prospect, or I'm listening to my customer, or my son, or my daughter, or my wife, or my mother, or my father. I'm not saying me too. It's about their story. It's about them being seen, heard, and understood. And I'm focusing on things where, if you notice, I just inflected my voice a little bit. I'm focusing on energy and things that they repeat and things that they really have just energy when they talk about. And those are the things I want to ask about. Hey, you mentioned that, like just the way you lit up when you talked about your grandfather, Jimmy. Like, tell me about him, because that ultimately is level 5 listening. Level 5 listening is listening on such a level where you are listening to what that person says, and they're the only person in the world. There could be all kinds of distractions on your side, your left, or your right, or beyond them. You're not breaking that gaze. You're not being weird about it. You can look away a little bit, but you're listening to what they're saying, and you're focusing on where they give inflection and energy. And I want you to notice one point here, and I want you to hear this point very well, is no one ever says anything they don't want you to hear. I'm going to say that one more time. No one ever says anything they don't want you to hear, because they want you to hear it. They might be crying for help, or it might just be deeply passionate about it. So just focus on where they have energy and inflections. All right, next I want to talk about the pain and yes strategy. Most people are set to a default no, and most salespeople like to go into benefits. Hey, Mr. Seller, when you write that tuition check for your grandchild, when you get out of this old crummy old house, all the benefits, benefit, 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 where I recommend focusing on the negative, focusing on the pain. Mr. Seller, you talked about having to pay the taxes for 12 years of this parcel. You know, you said your husband purchased it and he's now passed away and you don't even go to the land anymore. Like, you're repeating their words where they inflected pain. You're not talking about the benefits of selling the land, making a pile of cash, or writing the tuition check. It's the pain that would happen if they didn't accomplish their goal of selling the land or the house or the apartment complex. You want to almost step into their deathbed. You want to make it that painful. Some might argue, well, isn't that wrong that you're kind of, forcing this pain? You're almost like inflicting this on them? No, because it's integrous. You're not trying to convince them to do something that's wrong for them. You're convincing them to take the action, to pull the trigger, to get one step forward to where they can go to the positive of writing that tuition check, or getting rid of that monkey on their back, or that problem, that burden on their shoulders. And next, you want to give them your heroic, unique identity. And that is, hey, Mr. Seller, is it okay if I talk to you a little bit about what I do? And thanks so much for sharing all those details with me. What I do is I take the burdens off people's backs. I take the monkeys off the shoulders, and I buy this land, I buy this house at speed and convenience. I can close fast. You said you needed to sell in the next 30 days to write that tuition check for your grandson. I can get that thing done for you, and I've done it hundreds of times, and I've got multiple testimonials if you want to check out this book. That is your heroic, unique identity, and it could be anything because it's about you. Next is agreement formation, and that is getting that property under contract at the discount or whatever you're looking to get it under contract for. Ultimately, that's it. And I'm going to give you the exact contract that I use. It's going to be my free gift to you, and that is by going to thelandsharks.com/contract. That's the exact contract I use in my real estate business every day. I've purchased over $10 million plus of real estate with it in the last year. And then I want you to go and make sure you get your real estate attorney to look over that contract, because it might not be usable in all states, but it's only a 2-page purchase agreement. And we don't want to give our sellers anxiety, because this is probably the first real estate transaction they've ever done. So you don't want to overwhelm them by giving them like an 18-page document. Use this 2-page document. Go down below, click the link to the down arrow, clicking the link in the description, thelandsharks.com/contract.